Hello there. Welcome to video 165 from Sumit Academy. I do hope that you have subscribed to my channel. Do subscribe now so that you do not miss out on my previous or future videos. And do remember to like and share this video too. To make your task a little easier, here is a complete list of all the 165 videos available on my YouTube channel. The list is divided into the playlists under which they are available. Do have a look. In this video, we shall study the protection of children from sexual offences, the POCSO Act 2012 and 2019 amendment to this act. This has been in the news recently after a judge's controversial judgments in child sexual abuse cases, deeming groping the breasts of a minor over the clothes as falling under the ambit of outraging the modesty of a woman, which comes under section 354 of the Indian Penal Code, instead of falling under the POCSO, since no skin to skin contact was made. Back in 2019, the POCSO Act was in the news when an amendment was made to it when minimum punishment for aggravated as well as penetrative sexual assault on children below 16 of years of age was increased from 10 to 20 years, extendable to life imprisonment or death. To effectively address the heinous crimes of sexual abuse and sexual exploitation of children through less ambiguous and more stringent legal provisions, the Ministry of Women and Child Development championed the introduction of the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012 and thus came into being the POCSO Act. The Act has been enacted to protect children from offences of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and pornography, and provide for establishment of special courts for trial of such offences and related matters and incidents. The Act was amended in 2019 to make provisions for enhancement of punishments for various offences to deter the perpetrators and ensure safety, security, and dignified childhood for a child. But what makes the POCSO Act different from the Indian Penal Code? Now, that is a question worth asking. What offences does it cover? And when is it applicable? Well, let's have a look at the provisions of the Act so that we can answer these questions. The POCSO Act was enacted in 2012 and is gender neutral. It recognizes that boys can be victims of sexual violence as well. It defines a child as someone under the age of 18. The Indian Penal Code does not recognize that sexual act can be committed on boys. So this has been a major difference. The Act also increased the scope of reporting sexual crimes against children. It expanded the definition of sexual assault to include non-penetrative sexual assault as well as aggravated penetrative sexual assault. Sections 3 to 10 of the Act deal with all of these and also included punishment for persons in positions of trust of authority like public servants, staff of educational institutions, police, etc. Notably, this law recognizes sexual harassment of a child which involves touch and that which does not. Now, section 11 and 12 of the Act refers to this, such as stalking, making a child expose themselves or exposing themselves to a child, and so on. The POCSO Act also specifically lays down stringent punishment for exposing children to or abusing them, using them to create child sexual abuse material. Now, this is what we call child pornography. Now, this is again covered under section 13, 14, and 15 of the Act. While POCSO does not explicitly recognize grooming, experts say that Section 11 of the Act can be interpreted to recognize and criminalize it, wherein it involves acts of establishing, building a relationship with a child either in person or online to facilitate either online or offline sexual contact with the child. The law lays down the procedures for reporting sexual crimes against children. Under Section 19 of the Act, it is mandatory to report sexual crimes against children, including when there is an apprehension that an offence under the Act has been committed. This child protection law is also unique because it places the burden of proof on the accused, following guilty until proven innocent, unlike the Indian Penal Code, where everybody is innocent till proved guilty. Here it's the other way around. Another hallmark of the POCSO Act was that it set up procedures to make the criminal justice system child-friendly and prevent re-traumatization. Now, this includes everything from how the statement of the child should be recorded, to the medical examination, to designation of special child-friendly courts. Under provisions of the POCSO Act, children are entitled to getting their statement recorded at their residence or a place of their choice, and preferably by a woman police official or an official not below the rank of sub-inspector, and that too provided this person is in civilian clothes, not in uniform. The police official should ensure that during the investigation, the child does not meet the accused. The child cannot be detained at the police station at night, and his or her identity should be protected from the public and media unless directed otherwise by a special court. If a girl child, the medical examination should be done by a woman doctor, and the examination can only be done in the presence of a parent or a person the child trusts. If neither of the two are there, then the examination should be done in the presence of a woman nominated by the head of the medical institution. The special courts stipulated under the POCSO Act are also to be child friendly. There are provisions such as allowing a family member, a guardian, a friend, or a relative in whom the child has trust or confidence to be present, allowing frequent breaks for the child during the trial, and ensuring that the child does not have to face the accused during evidence collection as well as cross examination. Based on the special court's discretion, proceedings can also happen in camera. That is, no one except those related to the case can be present in court, and in presence of the child's parents and another adult he or she trusts. There are also provisions as well as guidelines if the case requires support from NGOs or social workers as well as experts. That means psychologists, interpreters, and so on. In the pre-trial and trial both, that is both pre-trial and trial stages for the child, as well as guidelines for interviewing the survivor, including special needs children and children with disabilities. Right. Our next question is, when is POCSO used? Sections of the POCSO Act may be added by the police in the first information report, the FIR, whenever a sexual offense is committed against a child. While special laws override the Indian Penal Code, sections of both are often mentioned in the FIR. For instance, an FIR would book an accused under section 376, that is rape, of the Indian Penal Code, as well as relevant sections of the POCSO Act. Punishments under POCSO are more stringent than under the Indian Penal Code. It is important to remember that POCSO is not just applicable in cases of physical sexual crimes, but also ones that happen over the internet. This would include offenses such as creating or exposing children to pornography. In such cases, POCSO may be used along with provisions of the Information Technology Act. Child pornography has been defined as any visual depiction of sexually explicit conduct involving a child, which includes photograph, video, digital or computer-generated image, that is one which is indistinguishable from an actual child, and image created, adapted, or modified but appear to depict a child. Now let us see what happens when an offender himself is a juvenile. Now, how are juveniles tried under the present system of law? You see, delinquents below 18 are tried under the Juvenile Justice Act 2000, which calls them children in conflict of law, not criminals. Age on the date of the offense is the basis for determining whether a delinquent should be tried as a child or an adult. However, there are various loopholes in the Amendment Act that are ambiguous in nature. The National Legal Services Authority has outlined a compensation scheme for victims of sexual abuse, but the compensation scheme is not clearly defined. Special sensitization programs for fast track courts, including POCSO courts, prosecutors and judges, should be made a requirement to make the courts more child friendly. Psychological therapy for children is crucial when it comes to dealing with the trauma of abuse. Council to Secure Justice works with child sexual abuse survivors to address their emotional needs during criminal proceedings. Its vision is that people impacted by sexual abuse and other forms of violence in India have access to justice systems that repair harm, empower the vulnerable, and reconcile broken relationships, keeping each survivor's needs central to the process. Ashiana Foundation works with juvenile offenders of petty crimes to facilitate an offender-centric approach and provide a humane environment for them to realize their mistakes. There are no definitive solutions to redress sexual assault, but systemic changes are what will go a long way in contributing to incremental change. Sex education classes are needed from the school level itself that talk about both biological as well as social aspects of sex and includes discussion of concepts like consent and coercion. And remember, my dears, it is up to you, me, and all of us to prevent such heinous, such horrible crimes which are not against only humanity, it is against God, it is against God's children. So wherever you see it, fight against it. Well, that's all from me in this video. This video is based on the information freely available on the internet. No originality is claimed for the same. The intention of this video is only to prepare candidates for answering examination questions on the subject and not for any financial gain. Do like and share this video and do subscribe to my channel now so that you do not miss out on my previous or future videos. Till later then, cheerio.